Hello and welcome back to Healthy Spouse, Healthy House. My name is Tony and my channel focuses on health, wellness, and relationships. I believe that there are 15 different areas of health that any one person can work on at any point in time in their lives. So each week I ask you to join me as I introduce, define, and discuss each one of those areas of health. And then in the end, we make plans and we make goals so that we can become healthier in those areas. But guys, before we get started, I have a confession that I have to make. But for those who follow me closely, they already know what I'm gonna say. I was not able to produce a video last week. I was not feeling well, y'all. And then on top of that, before all of that, before I had gotten sick, I was really busy and have been busy for a long time. And then on top of all of that, guys, my kids have been out of school. So I've been having to redo my schedule. I've been having to just reassess my whole entire life. So with that being said, y'all, let's get started. As you can see, I am in my living room and you already know what that means. That means story time. So grab a snack, grab something to drink, and then come on back and join me here. And also y'all bring me some energy, please. Please bring me some of y'all energy because I need it. You know, I'm doing good, y'all, but I'm not 100%, okay? So anyway, I wanted to bring you all an environmental health story time, but before we get started on that story time, I wanted to make sure I go back and reiterate what environmental health is, and so I wanted to define that for you. Environmental health is the interrelationship between a person and their environment. It's how our environment affects our health, whether it's positively or negatively. And that includes our natural environment, which are things that occur naturally, like your trees, nature, like your trees, plants, animals, what other things? The climate, weather, natural resources, and then it includes our built environment, and those are things that are man-made, like houses and buildings and roads and things like that. And then after that, we went into the basic principles of a healthy home. And remember, these are just basic principles because these are the things that you start with, and then you just add things to your liking for your own home. Because again, this is a personal journey. So the basic principles of a healthy home is as follows. A healthy home should be clean, safe, organized, comfortable. A healthy home should be full of love, respect, understanding, forgiveness, and discipline. Also, a healthy home should be a home full of communication. A healthy home should be a home with boundaries. And those are boundaries that you need to have for both the residents of the home and also visitors, people that come to visit. So guys, let's get into this environmental health story time. So back in 2013, my husband and I moved into our 2-bedroom apartment. And at that time, there were 4 of us. And y'all, we were so excited to move into this apartment because of where it was. You know, it wasn't too far from our parents, and our church was right down the street. And then we had made connections in the community already, and so we were excited. And then we were so excited to be in a place of our own because we had spent the first part of our marriage, there were times where we lived on our own, but then we spent time living with my parents and living with my aunt. And then it was just so moving into this apartment, it was just we were so happy and we were so excited to finally be on our own again. We were like, this is our last apartment. We were just so excited. So anyway, but guys, in the span of about 3 years, our family grew from 4 members to 6 members in a 2-bedroom apartment. So you can imagine how cramped our apartment had become. I mean, at first we didn't need as much space and we didn't need as much storage and all that other stuff. But over time, our needs and wants for our family and our environment had started to change. And, I remember, like, at this time, I remember seeing other people getting blessed with their homes. And it wasn't just like 1 or 2 families, it was like 4 families getting blessed with their homes. And I was happy for them. Believe me when I say I was so happy for them getting blessed, but at the same time, I was like, when God? Because like when I tell you that my family was busting out of that apartment, we were busting out of that apartment. My children, they were growing, and they were growing at an alarming rate, but they were growing. So that meant, and not just growing physically, but they were growing in their hobbies and interests. So that means not only do we have all these clothes and shoes that we have to house, we needed and it was a big thing for me for everyone to have their own bed. And I mean, yeah. And it was that, and then we were growing in our hobbies and interests. So that's video games and Legos and toys and skates and bikes and all types of things, y'all. I mean, it was a lot. And I felt like at that time I started to fail at my environmental health. And I started to fail like with a lot of the basic principles of what a healthy home should be. I felt like I couldn't keep the home clean. I couldn't keep it organized. I couldn't keep it, I just became overwhelmed. I became just like it was a lot. And so I began to pray. And I began to ask God to help me. I was like, I'm going to have to deal with this. Please, Lord, help me. I got to deal with this, and I got to do it right. And so I began to pray, and I came across Philippians 4. And, if you know me personally, you know that Philippians 4 is one of my favorite chapters. That's one chapter that I tell a lot of people to read because it's helped me so much. And during this time, that's when I was really introduced to this chapter. And that's where Paul was talking about how he was, content in whatever state he was in, whether he was hungry or full, or whether he was in need or not, that he found a way to be content. And that had been my prayer. Lord, please help me find a way to be content in whatever state that I'm in, whether I'm full or hungry, And sometimes it could be so hard, y'all. It could be so hard when you're in need of something and you see someone else get blessed with the same prayer that you've been praying to God for. And you see someone else getting blessed, and then it's like, and you get discouraged, and that's what was going on with me. I was discouraged, and then, so anyway, this particular scripture started to encourage me to be content. And then, and I find that when you finally are content with your situation, that the real healing can begin, because then you start to see the blessings around you, because everything that you have, God gave you, and you start to see the blessings again, and you're like, oh, okay, yeah, I remember, start to remember why you felt blessed to have this particular thing in the first place. Oh yeah, so I started to think about that in my, in our environment. Oh yeah, we love the area. My parents are down the street. Our church is up the street. Or however, trails. Oh, look at all this shopping around, and then other family members aren't too far away. So we started to think, we love the children's schools, and it was just like everything. And so I was like, okay, I see this. And so I started to really heal, and I started to really be able to understand what it is to be blessed, and to see things for what they really were, which were blessings in the first place. So, and because I started to look at my environment and started to see those types of things, I started to apply that same principle that Paul had, you know, to other areas of health, like with my physical health. Y'all, because there were times where I would look in the mirror and I'd be like, oh, I would see all these negative things wrong with me. And it's like I started to be like, no, I'm going to be content in wherever I am. And I find that again, when you're content, you know, that helps you to see the blessings, and that helps you to see how 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 God has been a blessing, and how, you know, just how great things are, or how great things can be. And then you just start to want to do better, to want to heal, to want to feel better, because you feel content. But at the same time, you can still see, okay, you know, like with us, you know, yeah, I'm content where I am, but I still know that I need more space. And that leads me to, you know, here we are 2 year, well, you know, we have been in that apartment for a long time, for about, I think about 7 8 years, 7 years. And then, you know, here now in 2020, now we're in our home where we do have that space to grow and to just, and there are so many things that I love about where I live now, but that didn't mean that I didn't love where I was before, or where I lived before. And that's why I wanted to encourage you, be content where you are, because God has the ability to continuously bless you. But understand that where you are right now is also a blessing. All right, guys. So hope you were blessed by this. God bless you on your journey, and I'll see you next week for sure.